sometimes I have to cultivate that light because maybe that morning it didn't come on automatically, but I am committed to that. And I'm like, all right, what we need to do, how do we need to get there? So thank you for sharing that. I would say the next one for me is nature. Being in nature is, whether that's being like around animals, walking in a forest, being at the beach, sitting in the sun, the natural things that we know don't come with any ulterior motive, doesn't
Mm,
have any sort of motivation to have you do one thing or another. If you ever just like around a dog, I remember, in one of our episodes, you said you have a puppy, and just having your dog, that they have very basic needs, and that's all
right.
that they're going after, right? They're not trying to, I was going to say they're not trying to manipulate you into doing anything, but there's some really crafty dogs, including my own, who knows how to get extra treats out of me. But for the most part, though, like they are really loving, and I feel like nature is a reflection of God in so many ways. First of all, nature is a reflection of God in its stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, even if there's water running or whatever, it's still this consistent sound and flow and rhythm
Mm-hmm.
to nature,
Right.
and it's trusting. You can sit in it. I mean, unless there's some wild animal that comes and attacks you, but for the most part, you're in a good space, and it reflects the beauty of God. When you look at the colors, number two, the colors of nature and all of the beautiful colors.
Mm-hmm.
I paint sometimes, and you want to get those colors right and want it to reflect the true color scheme or color palette that you see in nature. And so I pay closer attention to colors.
Right.
And being in nature, like if you ever, and you've been around the world, so the beaches and seeing like the different hues of blue, being in the
Yeah.
forest and seeing the different hues of greens and yellows. So I can absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah. There's an
Being,
energy pool.
yeah, there is an energy pool. Yes, there's this book called Breathe. It's a children's book,
Okay.
and it's about this girl who finds herself never feeling good enough, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she's in the classroom, they're like, "Oh, you need to be more of a leader." So she speaks up more, and they're like, "Oh, you talk too much. You need to be more quiet." Or, "Oh, you need to do this," and then she does it, and then it's, "Oh, you're doing too much."
Right.
And she goes out and she just sits in nature, and she sits, in the forest, and she just listens to the rustling of the leaves, or watches a little bug crawl by, or whatever. And it's just so peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And she finds that being in nature, she can just be and
Right.
just breathe without having the expectations put on her, or even her own expectations. So what's been your experience with nature?
So the thing is, another one of my healing things is very similar to what you were saying, and it's to basically keep God at the center of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I read a book. I have a book, and I might mess the title up a bit, but I believe it's called "What If Buddha Was Coming to Dinner." Now
Mm-hmm.
you could change Buddha with whatever you want, but the premise is, if Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, your best friend, um, if they were coming to dinner, what would you prepare? Now, these are entities and people that we hold at the highest level of regard.
Right.
So we will want a spectacular spread. We would want to set the table. We would want to have the best food. Like we would just make sure that the presentation was there. We would make sure that there was like music flowing. We would do all of these things to accommodate that which we believe is greater than self.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of the matter is, it all lives within us. God
Mm-hmm.
lives within me. I have attributes of God, you know, and with that, when I keep God at my center, just like when you eat a peach, you should take your time and you should be able to taste the rain, the dirt. You should be able to taste the sun, the love, and the labor. All of
Hmm.
these things go into the peach that you didn't pull, but someone else did. And or even if you were out, like, in the area and you were pulling a peach, it would still have all of those things in there. Take your time. So when you talk about the colors and the importance of that energy pool,
Yeah.
it's just the same as knowing that God is my center. And if I'm off,
Mhm.
I need to come back to God. God within me. Not a spirit spook floating out of the sky, but God lives in me. And I can do all
Right.
things because I was created in his image. So
Mhm.
I think that once I truly understood that, there was a power that nobody could take from me. That power
Mhm.
belonged to me because God gave it to me. So, yeah.
Whew. Oh, I guess the new thing is this. I don't know. See what it out. But yes,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
love
clock that,
it.
right? Clock that.
Yes. And so when we talk about healing, like I mentioned early on, part of healing to me is maintaining that healed state, which
Right.
is for me peace.